Welcome, everybody, to Zero to Income. We're glad to have you here. I'm Sean. I'm here with Dana, and we're helping you get your businesses started.
We want to help you move from financial dependence to financial freedom,
From dreaming to achieving,
from blindly following the masses to being an independent thinker.
from zero to income.
All right. And today we are going to focus on how do you get your idea rolling? A lot of you, you've got this passion in you to build a business. There's probably something in there that's saying, I want to do this. It's kind of like you're breaking out of a shell. It's like you're the egg, the yolk and the egg trapped inside the shell, and you want to break out. And what does that look like? And how do you get started? And what is an idea? What is something, some way that you can get yourself out there and start building your own business and making your own income instead of having to be dependent on other people? So
Yeah.
we're going to dive into this. And Sean, we're going to, you and I resonate with each other well on a lot of these things, but we're just going to dive into these things one at a time to help people get an idea.
And we're going to have fun while we're doing it. Let's just let the creative juices flow. There's no time limit with this, folks. Just sit down, give yourself some time if you can, 15 minutes, half hour, as long as you want to commit to this and as long as you want to play with it. You might be taking and doing this over days. Hey, I got another idea, write it down, put it down.
Could be. Because sometimes after you've let some of this stuff simmer and you've started to kind of flesh out an idea in your head, sometimes you get to a place where you're like, or a fresh idea comes to mind and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that thing that I used to be really passionate about that I've let sit on a shelf now for who knows how many years.
And something you all might want to, keep in mind is that it's always possible where you might come up with an idea and get started, and you could always do what they call the pivot.
That's right.
So one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur and about having your own business is that it's yours. You can pivot when you want and change when you want, and especially if it's just you starting off, you can move quickly, and so it's a beautiful thing.
That's right. We're not going to be in a rush as we go through these things. If you need to jump ahead or you need to pause, doesn't matter. We'll kind of try to have this all broken down into some sections here. But the first question that we have when we're trying to figure out a business idea is hobbies and interests. And so what I'm going to do is we'll just go back and forth. Sean, what are some hobbies and interests that you have?
Oh boy! Now we're going to go down some kind of dangerous path here because
keep it short.
We're talking some addiction here. Gaming,
Gaming,
I could play games forever. Pull out the old Atari.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about that on our first podcast on IT Path. But gaming, hobbies and interests. Something I bring up a lot just in my personal life is just the power of forgiveness. So I mean that can be not necessarily a hobby or an interest, but almost like a passion. But forgiveness. Trying to think. Dogs. Love my dogs. So yeah, what are you thinking about? I've got a general idea what you're going to come back.
Oh
with.
Man, I've got all sorts of stuff. When I think about the things that have been hobbies and interests for me, man, I built a computer back when I was a teen. Well, no, I was in my 20s actually when I built my first computer. Actually, you've heard that story, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
But tinkering with tech has always been in my blood. When I was a kid, I had radios, and my parents got me a shortwave radio, just a receiver. It's like a Radio Shack something. It was a really cool little radio. And I had antennas. I had this wires all over my room in my house. It was just all of these wires. And I was picking up broadcasts from like overseas. It was the coolest thing. So tech has always been in circuits and wiring stuff and all of that stuff has always been a part of my blood. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Another one is running. I like to run. That's a big hobby for me. And last year I ran 50 miles on my 50th birthday. It's crazy. I'm a crazy man.
What did that look like? 50. It wasn't all in one run, was it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You ran 50 miles nonstop.
Yes. Yeah. I had there was checkpoints in there. So I
Okay.
had I had like 5 checkpoints, but the people in the cul-de-sac and that were where we lived, they helped run the checkpoints. They had kids out there, they had signs they made. It was the best day.
So let me
It's
get a
just
visualize of
unbelievable.
this though. A checkpoint. How long are you at a checkpoint? So I mean, you're running
Could
50
be
miles.
10 minutes. I could be at a checkpoint for 15 minutes. It depends. Like if I'm going to change my clothes at the checkpoint, change my shoes, get some water, refill my hydration, all that stuff. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty
And
crazy.
there's a lot of people out there that are like into this ultra running stuff.
Mhm, mhm.
So anyway, photography is a big one for me. I love photography. And when I get a camera in my hands and I get outside and I take pictures, there's something so relaxing about that experience. And so that's another big one for me. I don't have any of my pictures here in this room, but
We're, we're
I guess I don't love it that much.
we're talking photography, everybody. I just have
Yeah.
to. I just have to show what I found the other day while I was looking for needles to thread a button. But I'm holding up, if
Oh
for those that might not
yeah.
can't see, old-fashioned film, unused, a
Oh
roll of
my gosh, you
film.
just gave me a crazy idea. I'm gonna be right back. There's got to be whole communities out there for film,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
There's
in,
got to
in
be.
medium format and all that stuff. Anyway, okay. So you just gave me another idea. We're just talking
Yeah, yeah.
technology and all of that, and videography, photography, running. Those are my main ones.
And you pointed something out. We're obviously here and helping this community because of our love and what's the word I'm looking for? Um, just passion for technology. We're here because we want to figure out what it takes to help people get their businesses up and running. And a lot of that involves technology. How do we use technology to leverage that to actually create successful businesses?
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why we're here.
yeah. My
Mhm.
son made that right there, the Iron Man
Yep.
helmet. He 3D printed that. I like music too, by the way. I'm a man of all sorts of hobbies. And behind that, there you see, I've got it's called a Retro Pi. It's an old game. It's you can run all of these old games on a Raspberry Pi, or really cheap.
Wow.
And my youngest son Aaron with my dad made that wood box there. That's pretty cool. So I'm surrounded by just I can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a
Yeah.
metal detector I made. I made a
Oh,
metal
nice.
detector.
You
A
made a metal.
homebrew metal detector community. Oh my goodness, you give
There
me
you
even
go.
more ideas. We got to slow down.
Do you have Frogger on that Raspberry Pi?
I don't, but we have an old Atari game called Mega Mania, which my sister crushed when we were kids. She
Yeah.
beat the game, and so
Yeah.
that's on there. But
Nice.
we just kind of screw around with it. Anyway, any other like hobbies, interests on your end?
I think it was just the technology that came up as
Okay.
I was thinking as we were talking about this family,
Aspects of
again, love.
technology is a really wide field. And as we think about ideas, we want to try and narrow them down some. But I know for me, technology is just anything that has to do with tech, I'm interested in.
Yeah, yeah. You pointed something out that as we're going through these ideas, and that is, okay, is that too broad of a topic for me to focus a business on? Technology's big. Do I want to maybe go and think about, hey, how do I help people with PCs? We could niche that down even more. How do I help people who are running Dell PCs or MSI PCs, or maybe you're an Apple or a Linux lover. Hey, how can I help people run their business with Apple? By using their Apple
Yeah.
computer or Mac. You know,
Could be very
so
broad. Yeah. So kind of like, and we looked this up earlier. Is it niche or niche? Well, apparently it's both because you can spell it NITCH or NICHE. So it's both. So niche or niche, however you want to say it. If you hear us conflicting each other, it's okay. We had an argument earlier. But you've got to kind of boil some things down, and we'll get to that. So just as all you're trying to do now is just come up with a bullet list. That's it.
yep, yep.
What do you like to do? So gaming, man, then there's a lot of people out there into the whole gaming communities, gaming reviews, all that stuff. That's a huge Aaron, our youngest son, he just loves to watch those videos, and he can just be consumed by it. He'll be sitting there laughing and everything, but there's entertainment value in it and everything, and he loves it. So if gaming is your thing, that could be it. Now, I know we haven't hit on a lot of things that are maybe necessarily female related, and a lot of guys aren't even into technology. But depending on, guy, girl, sewing, cooking, just
Stitching. Yeah.
yeah, maybe you're into crafts, maybe you like to read. These are valuable interests, like book reviews. You could have a business revolved around that, book clubs. You could, I mean, really, the sky's the limit. It's really as big as your imagination is. We both firmly believe that God has implanted in us the creativity. So we're just trying to get that creativity out. So what is the outlet for creativity? And that a lot of times will align with your hobbies and interests, right?
Yeah. And again, I think that, as you kind of think about this, there are people out there who have businesses that you just would not imagine were like, hey, they could do that. If anybody has ever read that book, Choose, by I think it's Ryan Levesque. I'm sorry, Ryan Levesque. I apologize, Ryan, if you're listening. In the book Choose, his first main membership community was how to raise orchids, the flowers, orchids.
Really? Wow.
$10,000 a month he was making with his business on how to raise orchids.
Well, you like to raise flowers. Wow, that's crazy. And if somebody is out there making money doing it, you can probably make money doing it too.
Yeah.
You don't have to be better. You just have to be like at it and consistent. All right, let's move on. We're spending a lot of time here talking about hobbies and interests, skills and expertise. Let's talk about that a little bit. So we're kind of shifting a little bit different than hobbies and interests, because sometimes our skills and expertise give us an inside passion on something, but it's not necessarily what we want to do after hours, right? Like at work. For me today, I was telling Sean, I just blew this problem out of the water. This is really weird proprietary file type, and I figured out how to program around it and to read this file to be able to display the information in it. And I was like, I was on cloud 9 all day long. My employees were coming in like, "What's up with you, man?" It's like, I was like, and you heard I left you a voice message. I was on cloud 9 because I solved this problem. Actually, this problem I solved is actually probably has value in the market now. I did it on work time. I did it for my company. It's not like I can just take that code and just go do my own thing with it. However, I'm passionate about that, passionate about solving problems. The big thing for me when it comes to skills and expertise is, how can I help people with their processes do things better? And sometimes that gets into the nitty gritty programming, doing all sorts of crazy stuff with tech. And sometimes that's just high level, helping somebody make a flow chart. Skills and expertise along that lines. What do you think, Sean, as far as your skills and expertise go?
Yeah, skills and expertise come into play, not just helping people, with the processes, but also just helping people with that have problems and challenges. And it's just like, hey, your particular challenge was, hey, how do I help people, work with this particular type of file, that is one of those things where it's locked down and you can't, but there's plenty of people out there who want to work with it. That's a problem. And you just figured out how to solve that problem. And while you were talking, I was smiling because, again, this is all about passion. And man, when you get that passion, that is
what do you like to talk about?
Oh my gosh. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? It just feeds on everybody else around you.
Synergy.
Synergy, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the skills, like you also said, Dana, earlier, was, it doesn't necessarily have to be just what you're doing at home. You said you're into music. I could see you maybe playing the piano, and that could be a passion, or playing the guitar. You could create a business teaching people how to play the piano, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be what we do for a living, although that's another kind of question to ask yourself. Hey, what have I done for a living for years? But what do you enjoy doing? And, what are you passionate about? It doesn't have to be what you're doing as far as work, but again, hey, I like working on cars all day. I can teach people, general, car maintenance stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about that. Just how do you save people time and money on their automobiles? Because sometimes we had this little tiny sensor on our. We have a Mazda CX-5, and this sensor went at the brake pedal. Well, do you think there's a little? Hey, guess what? The sensor at your brake pedal is malfunctioning. No, it was an engine light. There was an ABS light on. There was like three lights on the dash. And we took it to a garage and they couldn't figure it out. And we ended up taking it to a Mazda place. And the Mazda dealer said, oh, immediately they hooked it up to the computer. Oh, it's this $125 whatever sensor that you need to have replaced. And they charge us like $94 to put it on or whatever. It's literally like a 10-minute job. Like they
Yeah.
get it's probably the sensor's like $100. So we probably could have been out of that for, less than $150. But no, it ended up being like north of $300 by the time it was all said and done.
Yeah.
So if I could have done that myself, if somebody would have showed me, you got a community out there, just message me. Let's talk.
Yeah.
I like to save money. People like to save money and things that you can do frugal, man. Like you got something to impart somebody that can save them energy.
And that's kind of where we're coming from with a lot of our, our approach to helping people succeed with their businesses is not just throwing money mindlessly at one application after another. It's using it wisely to grow your business.
Yeah, that is, and that leads us into the next one, Sean, which is solve your own problems. What kinds of problems have you solved? And how can you offer that? And really, that is a reason that we've started Zero to Income. And we each have our own side businesses that we're also working on, that we're testing these waters with, right? Testing the waters with other ideas. You've got the membership Answer Man. I've got IT Path and itpath.net, and shameless plug, the membership answerman.com. Is that for or membershipanswerman.com as well? And so you can go to those if you want to see kind of what we're working on. We're trying to test this stuff out. However, what we've found is that people build these really complicated stacks, and all of a sudden they don't like their business anymore. And all of a sudden they've lost passion for their idea. Maybe now they're associating the thing that they loved with anxiety and stress.
Frustration. They get so frustrated. I'm done, Sean. I'm just so tired of having to learn more things. So trying to make this work. They get frustrated. They cry at night.
Literally, like this isn't just theory. This is literally just breaking down in the evening and realizing that some of these programs are really expensive and they sunk a lot of money into it. They got to figure out how do I make this work, and how do I pay my mortgage plus pay this this thing off that I've built up. So anyway, solving problems for people, and that's what now. I mean, we've talked already about some of the kinds of problems we've solved. Like I've solved programming problems. I solved problems with helping people flow out different aspects of their business and automation and API calls and all sort of tech stack stuff that if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. What problem have you solved for somebody?
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you doing? Because you are the hero in your story. This isn't the Sean and Dana show. And how can we be, hey, look, we want to be your hero. No, that's not the show. That's not what we do. This is as if think of yourself as the host in your own world, in your own show, that you are the hero. Now let's put you in the place of the hero. What kinds of problems does your hero solve?
Yep. And so if you haven't already, get out a piece of paper and write this down. What kind of problems have I solved? And you might not be brainstorming this while you're listening to us talk about this or watching us do this, but write that down. Solve your own problems, so that you can sit down and think about that. Dana again had a win today. That stuff that he came up with at work, that was his problem, but it's his problem that's also going to be something that many other people will also appreciate. That solution.
Yeah. And my coworker told me, he says, "Hey, man, you should go on Reddit and see who else is struggling with this." And so I took a quick look, and yeah, there are definitely other people struggling with
Yeah,
that problem that I
yeah,
solved. So,
yeah.
okay, so to sum up, that the first big three that you're looking at here: your hobbies and interests. Where do you feel the most passion? Your skills and expertise in your workplace, right? And then solving problems, solving what's a problem that you've solved in your own life. Is that valuable to somebody else that you can offer them the solution? And is that, is it not only because you want to serve people, but you also want to be thinking, is there a possibility for income from it? Don't worry
Mhm.
about that first. Worry about solving the problem for people first. And if that resonates, yeah, there's probably income so that can be attributed to it.
And you pointed something out there. You sparked something in me here with that whole, helping people solve something first, and that is also with that skills and experience. What do people come to you for advice for? Hey, I'm having a real hard time with Linux here. Let me get on the phone and call Dana. My in-laws call me for PC problems all the time. One of my ideas when I came up with the membership answer man, one of my ideas was helping um, seniors with technology problems because my in-laws and my aunts and uncles come to me with, you know, uh, problems with their computers. So
Mm.
what do people come to you for advice or for help?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so those big three, you got to think about that: hobbies and interests, skills and expertise, solving a problem you solve for yourself. How do you solve it for somebody else? Think about that. Now,
Yep.
there's a little supplemental list to this, and Sean and I spent some time kind of vetting this, boiling this down to some additional little bullet points that will help you think about this idea. And you probably, before you go too much further, you want to probably take what you've written down and circle the strongest ones. Because if it's something that you say, I'll put it down, but it's really not, I'm not, I'm not really sold on this one. I don't think it's a great idea, or I'm not just as passionate about it as the others. Just focus on where your highest passions are first, and
Yep.
then we can work on the supplemental ones later in the journey. But focus on the biggest ones. You can always pivot down the road.
Yep.
Once you've
Yep.
kind of got this framework under your skin, and it's making it's working, it's working well for you, and you're realizing how you can do this, then you can pivot.
You
Focus.
you also really got something sparked to me when you said that your passions, and make a list of the ones that are really resonating with you. One of the other little bullet points that you might think about with that is this something I talk about every day, whether I get paid or not. You know, and so because you want to be when you're starting your business, especially if it's information based, you want to have stuff that you can do create content on every single day if you had to, and being passionate really helps with something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are these sub bullets that can help you? Here's some questions you can ask. Can I combine some of these passions? Can I combine photography? Maybe is there a way to combine my love for the old film photography with digital photography, scanning and editing photos that I took on 35 millimeter or a
Yeah.
medium format camera?
Again, everybody, you might not be able to see this, but I'm smiling because I'm like, yeah, that's the first thing I was thinking of is, hey, let's take you know, my pictures and how do I scan them and get them, digitized.
How
That's
do I help?
huge.
Yeah. So if you can figure out a way to help people with the combining two. So is there
Yeah.
two for you? Sean, is there a couple ideas that you think of when you think about that maybe blend together?
Well, I kind of hinted at that a little bit. I don't know if I mentioned one of my, kind of, I think passions or whatever is just the importance of family. So, you guys all heard me talking about helping my aunt, my uncle, and in-laws and things like that, and it's like, okay, so I know technology. How can I take technology and help, you know, seniors, elder people, I'm combining two kind of passions. How do I help my family? Membership answer man. That also, although it's focused on membership, creating successful membership communities, it also was born out of a desire to help people like my dad who are like, how do I do this, Sean? How do I do a membership community? People like my wife who's like, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'd like to do that. How do you do that? Um, but it could be something, as simple as, I'm really, really into technology. I'm also into Linux. How do I help people who use Linux operating systems?
This is Dana from the Zero to Income podcast, and I would like to ask you two questions. The first question is, how much money have you sunk into getting your idea launched? Maybe you don't even know. I can tell you, for me, it has been about $20,000 on two ideas getting them launched. And I'm frustrated because you know what? I got a lot of promises from different platforms, different providers and services out there that I would be able to get my idea launched within a certain period of time. And now I'm coming away with frustration and I'm mad. I'm mad as a hornet. I don't like to waste my money. I want to see an investment come to fruition. When I spend money on a tool, when I spend money on some online program that's going to help me, I expect it to help me. So I'm frustrated. Sean and I have been working on zerotoincome.com for a while, and we're getting to a place where we're going to start launching some of these ideas out in the marketplace. Some ways that you can actually launch your business with very few hours. You can get your idea tested in the marketplace with very low investment. Wouldn't that be great for you to be able to take your idea, be able to plug it into some things, some tools, and figure out who the avatar is that you're trying to sell to? Try to figure out how do you communicate them in a meaningful way, and stop wasting time, energy, money, and then becoming away with a frustration that all of these programs are delivering to you complexity. Well, Zero to Income, we want to deliver to you simplicity. We want to take your frustration, we want to turn it into freedom. Freedom financially, freedom emotionally, and we want to be able to give you the tools that allow you to test out a very simple stack for your business with as little investment, that's time investment and money investment, as possible. So if you would like to know more about what gets released, when it gets released, all of that, go to zerotoincome.com. That's ZERO, the number 2, income.com, and get on the mailing list. We will let you know when the tools develop. Enjoy the rest of the program. Yeah, get started. And I mean, and you can show them cheap, easy ways to do it too, with like Raspberry Pis and all sorts of stuff that they can, like, now you don't have to, I don't want to blow away my computer. Well, go buy a $75 single board computer, right?
Or how to do graphic design on a Linux computer, the types of applications you're going to have.
Yes. Yes. But how do you not use all the Microsoft products on a Linux machine? Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we regress here. Sorry. So if you can combine a couple passions, that's so take a look at your hobbies and your skills and expertise and solving problems for people. How can you combine a couple of those? Here's a couple of things, or here's a few others to consider. You can jot these down and just kind of fill in the blanks on these as well. If something is not sparking and you need an extra spark, let's try and give you a few extra matches in the box to see if something lights, right? Social impact. Is there some cause or something that you can stand behind? Maybe you or a family member has had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you know what? You can combine your desire to see solutions for cancer with the needs that people have who are struggling, who are battling cancer. And you can probably empathize with them and help them on their journey. So that's an idea of some sort of social impact that you could have.
Yeah, that cancer thing. I know people out there who have communities on just how to eat healthier for when you're combating cancer. How to help your body heal more naturally. by focusing on what you're eating, for lack of a better term, and other social kind of things. Personally, this is going to sound, I don't know if we could develop a business around this or not, but I used to walk around when I went on my walks in the neighborhood and see a lot of trash. And I was thinking, I wonder what would happen if I just start bringing a trash bag. And I started doing that. I'd bring a trash bag with me on my walk. And I mean, it literally within a mile walk, I would fill up the trash can and then I would find other boxes and be able to fill that. I'd come home with trash
Oh
bag
my
and a box full of
goodness.
trash. But it's like, hey, how, that kind of stuff though, of what can we do to create some kind of a business around that? That would take some creativity, but
It
that's,
would. Well, you might even be able to get a community to sponsor you.
mhm,
Hey,
mhm.
you know what? You don't have to go out and find people to do this, but if you sponsor, you know, $100 a week, if you go to different businesses or whatever, hey, and we know that around your business, there's a lot of trash on the ground. You want to sponsor $100 a week, for, or $50 a week, $25 a week, something, so that trash is being picked up around your businesses and this area is kept clean. And then once it's kept clean, probably the trash is going to diminish anyway. So hey, we're helping your business out, and at the same time, we're getting this trash cleaned up, and
Yeah,
something like that could be a real win.
yeah, yeah.
So you can impact people that way. The next one here is personal values. Sometimes we overlook, and I immediately overlooked this one. Sean, when we were talking before we started recording today, I'm like, personal values, I don't know. And then you kind of like threw some stuff in there. I was like, oh gosh, yeah, personal values can be something important. And now I can't even remember what you said.
Again, people that are really value like forgiveness and not
Mm,
necessarily um, just something that's like, everybody should forgive, but on a very, very personal level where they just got to a point, again, pointing the finger at myself, carried bitterness around for many, many years. And once I learned how to forgive, I'm telling you, people, it's huge, it's powerful. And the sense of relief and just that weight coming off of your shoulders is huge, and to be able to share that with other people who are also just, they don't realize it when you're feeling that bitterness and you're in the throes of bitterness, you don't realize what it's doing to you until all of a sudden, wow, I just forgave and let that bitterness go, and it's
yeah.
just, wow, I feel so much lighter.
You're
So things
blind.
like,
The cortisol
yeah.
blinds you. Anxiety blinds you. The bitterness just kind of is like a wool over your eyes, and you're living in your own world.
But I know of
Yeah.
people who are very religious, and they're developing their businesses around that, how to connect other people who share my similar uh, religious views.
Mm.
And again, that's very powerful as well.
I love reading the Bible. And I
Mhm.
often thought about just starting a podcast, just like read a psalm every day in a
Mm.
podcast. Psalm 119 would take a bit longer because it's like 176 verses.
Wow.
But um, to read a psalm every day, or to encourage people in some way every day that they could subscribe to. I don't know exactly how you turn that into a money model, but serve people first, right? If
Yep.
I've got the
Yep.
attitude that I'm serving people, then the dollars will figure themselves out. Sometimes if I don't have all of that questions answered, that's okay. People are
Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
interest, and there's probably some other way that I can serve them.
But it's a perfect example, again, your personal interest, bringing
Yeah.
that in. Perfect
Yeah.
example.
Lifestyle design. This is an interesting one. Um, but you think about, oh, I got a great example. There's a guy who does a podcast. His name is Jose Briones.
Mm.
And his actually, it's a YouTube channel, and
Mhm.
it's all about simplicity, like getting
Mhm.
away from the smartphone. So
Mhm.
he does reviews on flip phones, and some of these some of them are like old school phones, and the light phone, and all of these simple phones that help you, like what do they call it, digital detox,
Yeah.
to be able to put some of the tech away and to be able to focus. And my phone just just now, and when it did, immediately there's that goes off in your head, like, oh, I gotta go look at my phone. I'm not gonna look at
Yeah.
my phone,
Yeah.
people. It's not important. Lifestyle design is, and personal, and that can tie into personal values too, because I'm freeing
Yeah.
myself up for
Hmm.
spending more time with family.
Yeah. Yeah. Something came to mind when you said lifestyle design is, the tiny home movement, people who are just like,
Mm.
I'm going to live simply and, going to, go to tiny home, you know. Um, but I also kind of, when you're talking about simple, I think it's Keanu Reeves who lives very, very simply and doesn't have a lot of stuff. Reminds me of that show, the latest movie with Tom Hanks.
I
And
haven't seen it.
I can't remember the name now, but um, in the movie, there comes a point where he's helping people out financially. I'm not going to give it the whole stuff away, but one of the comments that he said is, "I don't buy stuff," and I'm paraphrasing because he used a curse word, and it wasn't like a hardcore curse word, but still, he said, "I just don't buy stuff. I
Mm.
don't waste my money on stuff." Um, but that's a whole nother also life design is managing your money properly. I just am going to manage my life by being very frugal about, and mindful of what I buy, use my money on.
Yeah.
So,
Cultural trends.
mm,
And when we saw this one, I was immediately reminded of back when the iPhone first came out
yep.
and Apple was launching their app store. And I was like, after about a year, I was like, man, I should have when the app store launched and people were loading all these apps on their phones, I was like, oh man, I should develop an app. I should develop an app. I should develop an app. And I was just like, I just didn't do it. And there was an incredible opportunity in a cultural trend that was going on nationwide, actually
Yeah.
across the was it across the globe yet, or was it just in the US? I can't remember exactly when the first iPhone launched, but um it was like this opportunity. Is there an opportunity in some sort of trend right now? And I know, Sean, you're thinking of one right now. I can see your wheels turning.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. I've got a few that kind of came to mind, but the Chat GPT is for me just seems like a real big cultural trend, and I visualize that also. Maybe it's a cultural technology trend, and I guess that would fall into the same thing as an iPhone, but also like when Google came out, I remember when Google first came out, and it was like my wife saying, "Hey, how do you do this?" No, I don't know, just go Google it, and hey, this broke. How should we fix it? Go Google it. And that's where I'm at now with Chat GPT. How do I do this? Let's go Chat GPT it. Um, but I was also thinking, there was a time when water bottles weren't a thing,
Crazy,
and
isn't it?
and then all of a sudden they were, so yeah.
Yeah. Personal growth, opportunities for personal growth. And this, how can you help somebody else grow personally? I think this aligns more with like the models of mentorship and coaching and offering people some sort of communities where they can foster ideas together and grow together, or they can receive something direct, like a one-on-one or coaching or in a group coaching sort of program. And Sean and I are both kind of familiar with those kinds of models, but any thoughts on that as far as personal growth?
Yeah, I think that when you take that into consideration, that's going to encompass some of the other things that we've looked at. I think forgiveness, again, it comes into personal growth type stuff, meditation, and again, Dana, you talked about that coaching, and many, many coaches, the foundation of coaching is the wheel, and each spoke of that wheel is another area of your life. So it's, my spirituality slash relationship with God, my finances, my relationship in my family, and that could be either just one spoke that encompasses your relationship with your wife, or it could be with my family and another spoke for my wife. And then health is another spoke. And so that personal growth really can encompass a lot, when you stop and think about it. It could be, again, helping people get fit. That could be a passion as well as a personal growth thing. Meditation again
Yeah,
could be a definite
trainer.
passion.
If
Yeah.
I love running. I love running ultra marathons. Is there a way for me to be able to help other people? And this is actually one of the ideas I was boiling down like a long time ago. I say a long time ago. A long time ago for me is March. Long time ago when I started this journey, and it just seems so long because I've been launching IT Path and getting that online, which IT Path is focused on helping people get started in their IT careers. That's
Hmm.
something I'm passionate about, something I want to do. It's a way that I want to help people. But I was also thinking about, man, there's a lot of people out there that probably would like to do an ultra marathon, but don't necessarily want to do it in these venues of, you got thousands of people that are showing up for this event. They maybe just want to do basically a home brew 50 miler like I did and get, how do you build a team for that? How do you, and the experience that I got out of that was far better than any race I'd ever done. And I've done 4 marathons, many 5Ks, 10Ks, 50K. I've done quite a few races in my running career, my amateur running career, which is very slow, by the way. Um, but there was none of them came close to the feeling of having completed that on my own and using people in the community that I knew.
I was just going to
It
say
was,
that when you were
it was
talking about
amazing.
how the checkpoints were like in your neighborhood, I'm like, wow, I visualized some kind of big event, like the Boston Marathon type of thing is what I was visualizing. And then when you explained it, I'm like, wow, you pulled in your community. I mean, that's very, very
Guess
powerful and
what? I came in
memorable.
first.
Yeah.
First place, man. And Angela got me a medal, and they got the 50-mile little magnet there to go on the car. I mean, it was awesome. They gave me swag. You know what I mean? I got a shirt. Yeah, my wife made me a shirt on a Cricut, one of those little Cricut machines that cuts out the design.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
made she made t-shirts for the whole community that said
Wow.
Morrison support team or something like that on the shirt, 50 miler, and then mine says on it, act your age, not your shoe size. Oh no, I'm sorry, cut that. uh, it's run your age, not your shoe size.
Nice.
Run your
Nice.
age, not your shoe size. And I was like, it was the best, and nobody can take that away from me. It was one of those experiences that it's
So are
like,
you looking forward to 60 at 60?
well, 2 weeks after I did it, I kind of hurt my back. And actually, they're reading an MRI for me tomorrow.
Mm.
So yeah, it's life. I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
older. But I did
yeah,
it when I was 50. I don't know if
yeah.
I'll keep doing it, but I did it when I was 50.
Got a buddy of mine who's 62, and he does running. He's probably, and I don't know if this was your approach. He does a lot of slow running, which is he taught me how to run longer distance because I was always just, let me go out there out the door like I'm sprinting. It's like, no, just do some slow running and just nice and easy.
Yeah.
And I figured I could run for miles that way. But his big thing is pool laps. So when he turned 62, his thing was I'm going to swim 62 laps, and when he'll turn 63, he'll do 63
Oh
laps.
yeah, that's cool.
You know,
Nice. Well, it's nice to have goals like that, right?
yeah,
Keep
yeah.
it going. All right, one more, and then we're going to summarize here. And the last one is local community. And we kind of hit on that a little bit earlier. We're talking about social impact. You're talking about the trash, but
Yeah. Well,
also,
we also the community with your run.
oh yeah, that's
Oh,
true too. Yeah. Local community. What impacts your local area? Now, I've got a friend that's got like a lot of domains, and he's got these like askthisTownName.com. And he's not really developed it, but there's a great, something like that is a great opportunity. You can go
mm-hmm,
online and you can find
mm-hmm.
like you know some city names tied to something, right? And
Yeah,
develop a little
yeah.
directory website. I've got mainvacations.com is a business that
Mm-hmm,
I've been working on
mm-hmm.
for a while, and that one's been really slow going, and I probably need to rerun that through this whole idea plan thing and
Yeah.
relaunch. But right now it's like I've got somebody else kind of running that business for me. But um the idea here is that What do you identify as a community or a local community that you can serve in some way?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Well, you kind of pointed out, I know that for those listening, I live in Battleground, Washington. It's not a very big city. I might even look at it as a town. But there are a couple of Battleground, Washington Facebook groups. And so you could definitely do something around that community. And you look at other kind of business models like that, alignable, a lot of that's kind of focused on, this, meet a new business in your area. um, Pops up a lot. I think on Alignable is the app that I keep seeing that here's a new business you should meet in your area, And again, its business model is focused on community. The Nextdoor app, it's a little bit different than we're talking about here, but again, bringing community together. And guarantee you that the Nextdoor app is monetized in some way, ads or whatever else. But yeah.
yeah, and that's possible too. If you get hot on YouTube, the easiest thing to do is just throw on ads, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as much as I hate them, I just some videos now. It's like you got to watch 2 to 3 ads before you get into the. It's like, come on, you're killing me here. And then they take away that you can't. Like after a few seconds, the skip button's gone. It's like,
gone.
But I really want to watch this video. So I guess it's working. Whatever they're making is working because I have to stick through it and watch that ad and get to the content I really want. But anyhow, so let's kind of regroup. Let's come back to the beginning here, regroup. So first of all, you're focused on your hobbies and interests.
Okay.
You're focused on skills and experience, and you're focusing on a problem that you've solved and might be able to solve for somebody else. Those are the big 3 that you should have. Like, take your paper and divide it into columns if you want, or just list them out. Do something to get them down. Don't just rely on your memory. Actually write them out, because you'll start to see connections maybe between some of these once you get them out on paper. And do this with somebody else too. Brainstorm with somebody else. Like, if Sean didn't start talking about cameras and film and stuff like that, I would have never grabbed my camera. That was the furthest thing from my mind.
We feed off each other a lot.
So find a good friend and go out to lunch.
Yeah.
Take napkins. Take a pen, write on napkins. Some of the best ideas come off of napkins.
And I've been taking notes as we talk. And the other thing that just kind of came to mind is I'm a very line by line, write it down. But hey, why not write an idea here and an idea over here and an idea over here, and just have a cloud of ideas, and that might just be something for myself also. Maybe that's going to spark some other ideas by breaking away from this line by line thing that I've got myself into.
We get blinders on, like the horses in the race.
Exactly.
We get the blinders on, and then all of a sudden we got tunnel vision, and we're missing. Oh my goodness, I'm not even thinking about this whole other area of my life. I'm just so focused, so trying to be laser focused, trying to focus too much, really, and shutting your brain down instead of letting me go take a walk, be creative, listen to some music, take a ride in the car, get on a bicycle, do something different to help keep those creative juices flowing. I think we all know that when we break patterns in our lives, it can sometimes get us into a more creative approach than if we're going through the static day-to-day thing. So those top 3, hobbies and interests, your skills and expertise, solving your own problems. Now, if you're still stuck, those sub bullets that you can start to think about. Can I combine some passions? Does it have social impact? Is there something that I can do that has a social impact? Are there some personal values that I have that might be unique or could be a benefit to other people?
Yep.
Is there a lifestyle change that I've made? Maybe I've gone to a tiny house. Maybe it's the way I decorate my house. Anything like that?
Yeah.
Are there cultural trends that I can take advantage of, like something to do with AI? Maybe you do sewing, and you want to try and figure out if there's some ways that you can augment what you're doing with AI and patterns and different things. I don't know. Maybe. So just taking advantage of this cultural trends. Is there personal growth that you can offer coaching, mentoring, your expertise in some way? Can you
Yeah,
impart that?
training.
Yeah. And can you is there some sort of local community things that you're super involved in, interested in, that can help people in that way too?
Helping nonprofits, helping we got a local
Sure.
food bank here. How can I help that local food bank? Can I teach them how to do grant writing?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can help other food banks do grant writing.
And maybe you're like, oh, but I hate grant writing. But maybe you figured out an easier way, some shortcuts, some different things well, that is valuable to people.
How do I use
Uh,
AI with grant writing?
yeah. Maybe you've been a CPA, but you know what? You're just tired of doing other people's taxes. So you start a blog and you start a podcast and maybe you start a website around helping people do their own,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that you don't have to be the person that's doing everybody's taxes for. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. We talked about car mechanic stuff. What about astronomy?
But
Um,
that's what this is all about. Just throwing out ideas and putting
yeah,
them out on paper
that's right.
and flushing it all out, everyone. You know,
Circuits. I love circuits. I'm surrounded by little chips and circuits all over the place, and I love to screw around with that sort of stuff. I love Raspberry Pis. I love technology in general. I love to review stuff. I love to read books. It's crazy, man. Life is takes us in so many directions. Oh my goodness. Like
still
cassette
in
tape.
the wrapper, still unwrapped. I did this. Everybody, if you can't see, this is a cassette tape. And what is a
Nice.
cassette tape? You can record a cassette tapes. It used to be you had music on cassette tapes and you'd pop it into a cassette player. I did see if I could sell it on eBay and it was only worth like $3 or $4. I was
A
like, oh,
cassette
shoot.
trading community. You could literally have a cassette trading community where you could, like, people could post their collections of cassette tapes for music or whatever and let people go on and trade. That would be cool. I
Yeah.
actually might
Yeah.
go log on to that. We've got a bunch of cassettes here too. All right. We got to dive out of here. We've taken up a lot of time and we've covered a lot of ground though. And we hope you feel inspired more than anything else. Inspired to at least start jotting down your ideas, start wrapping your head around what a business might look like for you. The cool thing is there's no pressure, as Sean said.
Yeah.
There's no
No
pressure.
pressure.
And if you have an idea and want to explore it, then we want to help you do that. We want to walk through this process with you. We want to be available as a resource. You can leave comments. We'll try and answer your questions. And when we get our site up and running, then you'll be able to get connected in that way. But for now, just let the juices flow. Listen to some music, get outside, take a walk, do something, and get those juices flowing so that
Yeah.
you can make the shift mentally. Like, is this something for you or not? Because it's not necessarily for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be for everybody. That's the other thing you got to really keep in mind. This doesn't have to be something that is going to, work for the whole world. Keep in mind that there's a lot of niches and sub niches out there that are very, very successful. Um, I'm just trying to think of, people just only want to wear white shoes, or people that only want to wear oh,
Blue
why am I
jeans and
drawing a blank?
t-shirts.
Yeah, yeah, blue jeans or t-shirts or yeah, you know. So don't be afraid also that oh no one's going to want to be interested in this. I mean, people are out there showing people how to raise orchids. All right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Well, we're going to cut out. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And until next time, when we maybe start to dive into how do you flesh out this idea now that you actually have something circled on your paper. You haven't got a business model, you haven't got your messaging, you haven't got marketing, you haven't got anything. You just have an idea. What do you do with it? It's like you've been panning the gold pan and now you're left with a nugget and you're like, "Oh, that's the one. I'm going to put that in
Now
the
what?
vial. That's the one I want to do." And how do you even take a next step? Because
Yep.
that can be quite a challenge for a lot of people.
Definitely.
All right. Peace
Take care,
out. We'll see you
everybody.
guys. All right. Thank you for being here.